How's it going, people? Salmon Slabber here, and this is the quest guide for the Digsite. Game on, no fast forwarding. So, quest-wise you need nothing. Skill-wise you will require 20 thieving, 10 agility and 10 herb lore. You will require a few items. These are 1 charcoal, 1 empty vial, 1 cup of tea and 2 ropes. You'll also need to equip some kind of gloves and boots, doesn't matter what kind. To start this quest, come down to the exam centre south of the Digsite and go ahead and talk to any of the examiners inside. Quickly run through their chat and ask them if you can take the exam, option 1. She'll then give you an item, quickly run through the rest of her chat, and it's time to head up to Varrock Museum. So go ahead and home teleport to Varrock. So once you're here to get to the museum, just simply run north until you hit the main square, and then head a little bit to your east, and when there's a road going to the north, go up there. Quite simple. So east of the main square, and then up the northern path, and it is this large building on your right hand side to the east here. So head on in and speak to Curator Haig Halen. Quickly run through the chat with him, and then simply walk away. At this point you should now have a sealed letter. With that in hand, go ahead and home teleport back to Varrock, as we now need to head back over towards the Digsite. So once you arrive at the telepoint, just head directly towards your east till you hit the fencing, then head south a little, head through the gate, and make your way over to the examiners once again. So once you're back at the exam centre, go ahead and talk to any of the examiners, and she'll offer to give you an exam. At this point it doesn't matter what you answer inside this exam at all, as it'll always be wrong no matter what. So choose whichever ones you want, just quickly spam through the entire thing. So in order to get the answers, we now need to speak to the students in the Digsite itself. So at this point, head up towards your north hand side, and you'll see 2 kind of paths outlined on your minimap. Take the left one that heads almost directly north. Keep running up here, and you'll now appear inside the Digsite. Keep running north, and eventually you'll come across the first of the students, and she'll be wearing all purple. It's just past the first wench for the most part. That's where she typically roams around. So go ahead and talk to the purple dressed student, and she'll give you the answers if you help her. Quickly run through all of her chat, and it's time to go to the second student. Go directly towards your east, and you'll find the student right here. He'll be wearing a red shirt. Go ahead and talk to him. And he'll say pretty much the same thing as the last one, only if we help him. From this point, head down towards your south slightly, and you'll come across the third and final student, and he'll be wearing a green shirt. Go ahead and talk to him. Now with all 3 we now need to find the items for them, so they'll give us the answers. At this point, head to your north just a little bit and you'll find a Digsite workman. Go ahead and keep stealing from him. So basically you're going to have to keep stealing from this Digsite workman until eventually you manage to get yourself an animal skull. This may take maybe one attempt, or it could take 20. It's completely and utterly random. But anyway, once you have that skull in hand, head down towards your south just a touch, and head up the walkway right here, which will head up the little hill. Eventually you'll come across this massive blue vase. If you see that, then make sure you search the second bush on the right hand side of it, to the east side of it. Upon doing so, you will receive a teddy bear. And it's time to grab the last item for these students. Head into the tent just to the northeast of where you've got the teddy bear, pick up the panning tray, and then just to the east of that tent you can pan in the river. You'll be stopped by an NPC. Quickly run through the chat and choose option 2, how do I become invited? And he will take the cup of tea from you, and you can now freely pan in the river. Go ahead and pan in the river. Once you've successfully done it, you'll have to actually search the tray in your inventory itself, and you will eventually receive a special cup. At which point you'll keep needing to pan until eventually you get an uncut opal. Once you've received both the special cup and the opal, it's time to head back to the students. So first off, double back to where you were, just to your northeast, speak to the green student, and he'll take the item off you and give you the answer. You don't need to remember it, it'll tell you them once we're in the exam centre. Once you've done that, head to your north slightly and speak to the red-shirted student. He'll take the cup off you and give you the answer. Then head almost directly to your west and speak to the purple student. She'll take the bear and she'll also give you the answer. So now that we have all the answers in hand, head back down to the exam centre. From the purple student, it's directly south. So once you're back at the exam centre, go ahead and talk to any of the examiners once again, and ask to take the exam once again. So the answer for the first is the study of Earth and its contents in history, which is option 1 for me. It may be the same for you, I'm not sure, but that is the answer. For the second one is all that have passed the appropriate Earth Sciences exam. And the third question is gloves and boots to be worn at all times. Proper tools must be used. So upon answering those questions, you will receive part 1 of your certificate. So it's the same thing as before. You now need to go back and talk to all 3 students before we can take on this second exam. This time you don't actually have to collect any items for them, so just run up to the students, it doesn't matter which order you do it in, talk to them, get the answers, and make your way back down to the exam centre. So once you've spoken to all 3 students once again and made your way back down to the exam centre, go ahead and speak to any of the examiners once again to start the level 2 exam. So the answer to the first one is samples taken in rough form, kept only in sealed containers. The answer to the second question is finds must be carefully handled and gloves worn. And the third question is always handle with care, strike cleanly on its cleaving point. And that'll be completion of the second exam. Good times. So once again, there is a third exam, so we're going to have to talk to all 3 students again. It doesn't matter which order you do this in. If you didn't get an uncut opal whilst you was panning in the river, you will need to get one now, as the purple student will ask for it in return for the answer. Either way, go ahead and speak to all 3 students once more. And then finally make your way back down to the exam centre once again. So once you've spoken to all 3 students, got the answers off them, and you've made your way back to the exam centre, as you'd expect, go ahead and talk to one of the examiners once again to complete the third and final exam. So the answers for the third one is samples cleaned and carried only in specimen jars, is the answer to the first. For the second question is brush carefully and slowly using short strokes. And the third question is handle bones very carefully and keep them away from other samples. Once you've done all of that, you'll receive your third certificate, and that is the completion of all 3 exams. So whilst you're here, it's now time to grab a few items, but first off, go ahead and turn your camera around so you can see the south wall. And in the room just to the west, you'll find a cupboard against the wall. Open that up and go ahead and search it, and inside you will receive a specimen jar. Once you've obtained that, go ahead and speak to the archaeological expert inside the same room and quickly run through every single one of his chat options. So once you've run through all of his options, you'll find out you also need a specimen brush. Whilst you were stealing from one of the workmen before, if you happen to have a specimen brush, then you can skip this little bit. But if you didn't receive one, then before the next little section, as you're running towards the northeast corner of the dig site, steal from any of the workmen around you and keep stealing until eventually you get a specimen brush. Either way, once you have your specimen brush and the jar on you, head up towards the northeast side of the dig site, and just outside you'll find a woman by the name of Alyssa. Go ahead and run through her options. and eventually ask her what happened to the city. Once you've done so, if you walk into the archaeological dig just to the north of her with the bones inside, go ahead and use your trowel and dig the dirt, not the bones, inside that little section. Keep digging the dirt until eventually you find, well, a Zaros icon. Once you finally receive your Zaros icon, this can happen on your first dig or on your 20th, it's completely and utterly random. Head on back to the exam center and go ahead and show the archaeological expert your find. So once you're back at the exam center, go ahead and use your ancient talisman with the archaeological expert, and he'll tell you it's from the god Zaros. You will then receive an invitation letter, but before you run away, in the southeast corner search the bookshelves to receive a book on chemicals. Quickly read through it and then close it. Once you've done all that, go ahead and exit the exam center and make your way back up to the dig site. So from the exam center, head north again and take the northern route of the two pathways. And keep heading north as if you were going towards the purple student. Eventually you will come across one little archaeological dig which has a winch inside right here. Go ahead and try to operate it, and one of the NPCs will tell you can't. At which point head slightly to your east and you'll find a workman nearby. Go ahead and use your invitation letter with the dig site workman and he'll allow you to use the winch. Once you've done that, go ahead and use a rope on the winch and then go ahead and operate it. And you'll eventually climb down. Once down here, right next to you on the floor, you'll find an Asiana root. Go ahead and pick that up. And then just to your east is a lot of rocks on the floor. Go ahead and click on them, try to use your pickaxe or whatever else with it, and it'll tell you can't. So once you have the root and you've checked the rocks, climb back up the rope. And then just to your east, and then head a little bit north of where the red shirted student is, you'll find another winch. Same as before, use a rope on this winch, and then go ahead and climb down. Once inside, go ahead and speak to Dug Deeping, and choose option 4, how can I move a large pile of rocks. He'll eventually hand you a key, and once you have that in hand, climb back up the rope. At this point we now need to go back towards the panning tent, so from where you are, head almost directly south. So once in here, go ahead and use your key with the chest inside the panning tent, and then search it and you'll receive an unusual powder. Just slightly to the west of the tank, you will see 3 barrels, one with a lid on. Go ahead and use your trowel with the barrel with a lid and you'll open her up. Once you've done so, use your empty vial with it and you'll receive a mysterious liquid. Then right click your charcoal and grind it into a powder. So at this point you should now have an unusual liquid, unusual powder and grounded charcoal. With those 3 items in hand, head back to the exam center once again. So once you're at the exam center, go ahead and right click on the archaeological expert and choose Identify Liquid. He'll then tell you that the orange liquid is nitroglycerin. Go ahead and use the chemical powder with the archaeological expert, and he will tell you it's ammonium nitrate. So with those two identified, use the ammonium nitrate with the nitroglycerin. Then use your grounded charcoal with the concoction, and finally use your Achiana root with it. And you'll create an explosive agent. Good times. So with that in hand, we now need to head back to the western winch. It was the first winch of the two we did. So, same as before, head north of the exam centre, taking the northern route. And then run up as if you was going towards the purple student again. And climb down the first winch. So once you're down here, go ahead and click on the pile of rocks again. And this time, choose to lay down your chemical compound. And then click on the rocks once again, and choose to light it with a tinderbox. Once you've done so, head to your west, just where the rope is, just run over to that area. And your chemical will explode and clear the way. So once that's done, head south past where the rocks used to be. And in the center of the room you will find a stone tablet. Go ahead and pick that up. Once you've obtained the stone tablet, go ahead and climb back out. And finally make your way down to the exam center for one last time. So once you're finally back at the exam centre, is the last thing to do for this quest, good times, is use your stone tablet with the archaeological expert. And that is it. Quest complete. So that said, congratulations. For doing this quest, you'll gain 2 quest points, 15k mining XP, 2k herblore XP, 2 gold bars. Additionally, once you gain 75 attack magical ranged or 91 constitution, talk to him again and you'll unlock multiple abilities across the board. So there we go. With that said, happy days. Quest complete. So there we go. I hope you found this guide useful, and yeah, congratulations on completing the quest, I guess. So until next time, people, I will catch you all later. Have a good one.